Do you have the Ableton audio open and stuff?
Why?
Hello?
Thank you for asking.
It's professional. So if we started, welcome everybody to the
Professional.
third annual Music Theory Monday every year, once a year, every Monday. Where we talk about music theory, things that matter. And we're going to be teaching you some practical music theory. So for this week, first week we went over like basic terms. Second week we talked about chords. This week we're going to talk about writing better melodies, how to make your melodies pop, how to write, maybe how to approach melodies, you know? What is the mindset you should have when writing a melody? We don't have a presentation this week. I just got going straight to Ableton. We're going to be doing some practical work this week. So the plan is, I have, as a demonstration, I have this melody I've written, and we're going to be going through different, each one of these layers is different things you can slowly add to your melody to make it more interesting. So, and then additionally, at the end, we're going to talk about writing chords underneath your melodies, or also what to keep in mind when writing a melody over your chords. So yeah, I also just wanted to share this audio real quick because I thought it was funny. Okay, so essentially, to put it in perspective, what we're going to be doing, we have this melody here, which I have like. This is the melody we're going to work with today. So when it comes to writing melodies, a way to think about your melody writing is there are a few really important things you want to keep in mind. One of them is to keep you want to have it to where it's in a line, right? So you can see here that there is a clear shape that the melody is taking. There are a few jumps, but they aren't anything wild. Something you want to always keep in mind when writing your melodies is to have everything sort of flow like you're imagine yourself as you're a singer. Like, I think a big thing about writing a melody is what are some realistic types of changes in notes that are similar to the way a singer sings things, because it makes it more catchy to have sort of your notes not jump around a ton, because when your notes jump around a ton, you lose that sort of catchiness and that earworm type of sense. So having a clear shape with your melody is a really important thing to just always keep in mind. So when you're writing out your melodies, like, what note should I go to? Where should I go from here? Try to bring it back or write in a way that there's a clear shape in which you're writing your melody. This isn't always the case. Sometimes like jumpy stuff can work, but when it comes to a good way to write a catchy melody, having a clear shape like this is super helpful and important. Another big thing is don't overcomplicate things. Just because, we have some open space here when there's no notes happening, you don't need to always fill in all this space. Sometimes having a sustained note that you really settle on as the note for that measure, it's like your sort of note center, can be really helpful. And it gives it sort of a place where you can rest. And then when you do some cooler stuff or you have little movements, it's more interesting. And then I think the other big thing to keep in mind when you're writing melodies is call and response. So in the same way that with a drop, you really want to have call and response when you're writing melodies. You have to think of it in the way of like a sentence. Like, you have your first thing right here, it goes. And then how am I going to respond to that? And then we're going to respond with this little passage. So you have this, like, you're telling a full sentence with each passage of your melody. You want to think of it like that, and it makes it a lot more. You want, by the end of your one like loop of your melody or whatever. You want to feel like you've started and been complete, and you've sort of gone through this little journey. So that's sort of the way I like to keep in mind when writing my melodies. And a bit later, we're going to talk about specifically what types of stuff you can start with when writing melodies over chords. But before that, I want to talk about some little things you can do to your melodies to make them a little bit more interesting. So we have this melody right here, but it's like really boring. It's just like some notes. It's just really like boring and very flavorless. Like there's no color or anything. It's just notes being played. So the first thing we can do is add little like flavor notes, little colorful notes here. Little that are like this. So like little stuff like this. You know? Just to accent certain notes. So the way you can do that is like just have it like the note below it, sort of give it some movement, you know? It's very similar to playing an instrument and like hammering on a note or something. That's a really helpful tool you can use to help sort of give more life to your melodies, you know? Oh wait, I don't have the chat open. I haven't been reading any messages from people. I need to. Oh wait. Chinese melody. Big jumps of an octave can work pretty often. I think that depends. When it comes to guitar, it's a bit different because like if you're jumping an octave, it has a certain sound to it. But if you're just writing like something that's meaning to be like your lead melody that you're singing with, it's meant to be sort of like emulating a singer. Sometimes jumping an octave can be a bit jarring, but also if you're going to jump a big interval, an octave is probably the best one to do if it's going to be like a big jump, because